let's get to the real thing, Pat. That bastard Lendl beat you 7-6 in the third in '84. He beat you 5 out of 6 times going into Wimbledon. That period. That year, I believe you made Aussie Open final and lost to Edberg. You'd come through Edberg in the semis of '87 to find yourself against Lendl, who would never win Wimbledon and still hasn't to this day. But there was a little bit of heat as well in that relationship. You guys would go at each other. I spoke to Barker so much about this. I love talking to him about I love getting my Pat stories, and I used to love getting the girl stories, but also the Wimbledon stories. And I remember he said, you'll correct me if I'm wrong on this, but he said the morning of, there's 2 things I told Pat. One was, if he serves at 70% first serves, he wins the match today. And 2, we're gonna give Lendl a sore neck with the lob. and I don't remember the exact numbers, but he said something like you served at 70.8%, or what, you just basically hit the target, and obviously won the match 7-6, 6-2, 7-5. Take us back to 1987, Wimbledon champion.
Well, I played Lendl a few times when I was sort of younger, including that US Open semi-final. I played him on grass, but I think it might have been the same year, maybe the year before. But I beat him in the Australian Open semi-final and on the grass. And so I was going into the final pretty confident, beat Jimmy Connors. He surprised me by beating Edberg. Though I wasn't focused necessarily on who was winning. I was just, whoever won. But I got to say, I was reasonably happy that Lendl beat Edberg there. The courts were fast. You couldn't stay back. You just couldn't stay back. Not against the serve volleying and attacking players of that era. The quality was just too good. They would have been in the net. Connor stayed back a little bit. That's the way he did it. Hit the ball. His serve was so just skimmed over the net, and he hit the ball so flat that he could sort of get away with it. But I think Lendl realised that even though he'd been in a final before, that that serving and volleying was, and he was a very good serve volleyer. I mean, he wasn't an awesome volleyer, but he was good. But I needed to make just enough volleys, forcing enough volleys that he'd make a mistake, and then or hit. So it really was about the returning, ironically, and obviously keeping the service percentage up. Serving and the volleying I could do. The unknown was how well Lendl would serve. He had a big serve, big second serve as well as it kicked. And it was a matter of making him play enough volleys. And, I was able to do that. For some reason, I don't know why, I was still expecting that. I was expecting him to serve a lot more to my forehand. He just kept serving to the backhand. I think my forehand was hit and miss, a little hit and miss. I think he was worried that I would hit a flashing few winners, and at least he knew that he could get with my backhand. He would probably get more volleys. I don't know. I never really asked him about it, to be honest, what the tactics were, but I was pretty happy with that. And then flip the lob over his head if I possibly could, which was pretty successful. I think it just about hit every one of those, and it was probably 6 or 8 of them flipped over his head, and. But it was tight. It was tight first set, tiebreaker, nervous. We were both nervous, both tight. And I got through that tiebreaker and played a great second set after that. Didn't lose a point on my serve for the whole set. And then the third set, he got a break, and I managed to break back. And so lost a bit of energy, momentum. And I sort of remember sitting down at, I was at 5-3 and 5-2, 5-4. Something like that. And I looked up to the box thinking, Lendl's up a break here. And Barker's and my sports psychologists were on their feet going, jeering me up. Come on. I mean, you'd see this a lot now, but you never used to see it then. The coaches never, quiet and polite and all that sort of stuff. And, a little bit of yelling out, but they were both on their chair. And I was like, oh, okay. They need me to fire up. And that I really had to jump around and get on my toes then. And I managed to break twice in a row and hold on to win the title.